To Senator's statements, and I call Senator Lambie.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I want to talk about the Murrunguppin family from Billawola. But before I start, let me say this. I'm not a bleeding heart, but the courts have decided that Priya and Nadies aren't owed protection as refugees. They fled a civil war. That's no longer a civil war. Wrongly or rightly, that's what our system has found. They've come to Australia without a valid visa, claimed asylum, found not to be owed asylum, so they're without a valid visa. If their youngest daughter doesn't get granted protection, none of the people in the family will have legal claim to stay in Australia. That's what the law says in black and white. The letter of the law is crystal clear here. But there's a part of that law that allows the Minister for Immigration to use his or her discretion when it comes to decisions like this. It's a power that lets the Minister say, when there's a clash between the law that says and what common sense would tell you, the Minister's got the chance to use some common sense. Surely now's one of those times, because if you stick by the absolute letter of the law, you're threatening to send two little kids home to a country they've never been to. You're deporting two little kids from a country they've lived in all their lives to a country they've never even seen and telling them they're home. That's what the law would have you do. I had to resign from Parliament in 2017 because I was found to have a dual citizenship with Scotland. I've never been to Scotland, and if you asked me to shut up shop here in Australia, ship off and live in Scotland, never come back, I'd be lost. I wouldn't know where to start. I'd feel like what was being asked of me wasn't fair. Here's the country I've lived in all my life. I've paid my taxes in, that I've grown up in, I've served it in uniform, and I've represented my state in its federal parliament. And now that country is telling me to go home to a country I've never called home. It wasn't my choice where my dad was born. Those two girls, it wasn't their choice either. You don't choose your parents. Those girls didn't choose their parents. And I don't know how you look at those two girls in the eye and tell them, hey, sorry, sweethearts, it's nothing personal, it's not your fault, but there's no home here for you. Priya and Nadies are not owed our protection. But just because we don't owe them this little bit of mercy doesn't mean we can't offer it to them. When you give something away and it's not out of obligation, that's what you call generosity. That's the Australian way. We have the ability to be extremely generous here. Not because we have to, just because it's a decent thing, it's a decent Australian thing to do. And it's not going to restart the people smuggling trade. That is absolute rubbish. And God, if I hear that once more, look out. What kind of message are we frightened of sending? That if we show a little bit of kindness, a little bit of the Australian way to this family, then other people will look at that and go, I'll sign up for the same. They'll all make the life-threatening trip across the ocean in a sinking boat. They'll all arrive in Australia, try and put down some roots, get put in detention in another place. They'll all sign up to be left there until their own child's blood turns poison in their veins. Even if you believe that, even if all that were true and people were signing up in droves for a deal just like that, they'd still have to invent a time machine or bring in Doctor Who and the TARDIS and come here before 2013. I know, it annoys me. Because since then we've had turnbacks, we've had offshore detention, we've had Operation Sovereign Borders, and it's stopped the boats. The Minister for Immigration has announced that he's letting the Tamil family reunite in Perth under community detention. Good on him for doing that. But he's drawn the line at allowing them the chance for permanent resettlement. He's got the power because Parliament's given him the power and he won't use it. He's saying he can't ever use it full stop. Because if it does, it'll create an incentive for people smugglers to start up again. I don't know what planet this minister's on, but he may want to get some national security briefings because obviously he's been missing in action. Either that or he's got no life experience and has no idea what he's yapping on about. I'll be brutally honest there. Your power minister is sitting there and it's unable to be used. It creates false hope for families. It's unnecessary. And by the way, here's a news press release for you. It's redundant. I would suggest you do something about that, Minister. I would suggest you use it or lose it, I reckon. And the Minister's told us that he can't use it. Fine. If he doesn't want to use that power, he doesn't have the courage to use it because he wants to play a noddy and think that's going to give him points out there for an election. Once again, I don't know where you live, Minister, but you ain't living in the real world. So, in saying that, if you're not going to use that power, Minister, I have no problem in putting up an amendment to the Migration Act to take that power off you and so trying my luck in here just to see whether or not I can remove it. So either show some courage and show some mercy on these two young ladies and their family, or try my patience, because that is where we are at. I can assure you this act to these young ladies and their families would have to be one of the most ungodliest things I am yet to see in this parliament. Show some mercy. Show some courage. You want to make a mark in this place? You want to make a mark in this place and show some heart and show what Australia is really about? You want to show some values of our own upbringings here? You have the perfect opportunity. You have the perfect opportunity to make your mark right now. You have the perfect opportunity to do what is the right thing to do. Because let's be honest, it is the right thing to do here. You cannot keep going round this circle. You have no other choice. I mean, you can keep going if you like and you can look the worst in the world and you can continue to do that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. But while you're doing that, I want you to think about those two girls who have spent nearly every day of their lives in detention so far. I want you to think of the harm that you've already brought those two ladies before they've even basically started school. You have a good think about that. Let me know how your conscience goes with that. Why don't you stand in front of me and tell me how your conscience is next time you see me? Because if you don't want to tell me, I intend on asking you. And we'll see who wins that debate one-on-one. Let's see how much courage you really do have. Let's see. But right now, if you are not going to use that power and use it to the ability it should be used, for good or bad, use that power or I'm going to come after you and I'm going to try and take that power off you. I will try it.